Our work is developing from what was linear work in the past to something that I call liquid work. The old expectation is we kind of like have to learn something and then it's very smooth sailing from there. I think we are working more like this. There is no end to the creative process. Our work is moving from this is how to we have to figure it out. The professionals are solving problems that are not in their books 30 to 70% at the time, thinking on their feet, where theories are developed specifically for the situation and then investigated by taking action. Enter instant innovation cards. And this is exactly what we use to use design thinking and creative problem solving and thinking on your feet together. Thank you. Thank you, Alvin. Thank you, Dan, for inviting me. Thank you all for hearing the call and coming by tonight. Well, we're going to talk about instant innovation today. That's an idea I'm running around with a lot. I have to turn that thing on, this guy. So, rapid solutions for product teams. No one knows the problem they are solving. People don't know how to work together, and communication is generally a mess. Technology is only doing its part to make the whole thing more confusing, and the innovation space is full of bad design. So there are people like you, maybe people like me, we find ourselves in a situation where we have a lot of stuff going on and a lot of problems, and whoops, not so many solutions. Who is sometimes in this situation where they're in front of a challenge and don't really know how to figure it out? Sign of show of hands. Well, couple in the back. The front is pretty clear. Very good. So sometimes stuff just doesn't work. It doesn't. Oh, this type of thing. Hello? My name is Tim. I'm currently recovering from the urge to have a distinct job title. But I do speak about, I train people and I facilitate a lot of creative work and decision making. I've done this and several other things for the past 20 years, somewhere in the design, tech, and product world. And the one thing that always drives me, what I kind of adopted as the thing I have on my flag, is this. I talk about doing new things together effectively. Let me take that apart for you quickly. Doing is because it's something active, right? Our work is very active. We need to do, we don't need design thinking, we need actual doing. We want to do new things because if they're old, then they're already done. So at least in your situation, whatever you're doing is supposed to be new. We have to do it together with others. And to top it off, we want actual results. We want to do it effectively. We don't want to do nothing really fast. We want to do something that matters. And I do believe we're on a pretty good way to hopefully something like this. I think that we have a bright future ahead of us. And the obstacles that we're all facing every day are actually the way to get there. This again, this is always the scary part. Our work is developing from what was linear work in the past to something that I call liquid work. I'll explain that to you quickly. The old expectation is we kind of like have to learn something and then it's very smooth sailing from there. For companies, for lives, maybe for partnerships, we think this is a good model. Idealized and maybe a little more realistic, is this one. Anybody knows this? My favorite design framework is the design squiggle, where at first you have a lot of stuff going on, and then over time you figure it out, and then at least at the end you get some smooth sailing, and you get your project out the door, you get your win, you get your whatever. I want to argue that this is not realistic. I think we are working more like this. There is no end to the creative process, and we are constantly involved in more and more complexity. This guy again. Our work is moving from this is how to we have to figure it out. We are moving from very similar solutions where every town has a bakery to very unique solutions that maybe learn to orchestrate the bakery for an entire country. Nothing goes by template anymore. All the most important and most interesting solutions are very, very unique, very, very specific to their certain context. And I believe that we're also moving from what was called a best practice in the past to developing next practices. Someone who has written a very nice book on the topic that I want to get closer to you is this guy here, Donald Schoen. He was a professor in the 60s and 70s at MIT. And in 1938, he wrote this fantastic book, The Reflective Practitioner. And he looked very closely at the practice of professionals in the field, apart from academic work. And he came to a conclusion that the professionals are solving problems that are not in their books 30 to 70% at the time. He did that with engineers, he did that with city planners, and he did it with the medical people, so doctors and nurses, and how they work and how they make sense of really specific situations. So he coined this fantastic term of professionals are generally thinking on their feet, thinking while doing it, a way of working where theories are developed specifically for the situation and then investigated by taking action. If anybody kind of remembers or has a sense of lean UX, working with assumptions and validating them, he is maybe one of the grandfathers of this idea. So this whole reflective thing, what does that mean for you? In our daily lives, legend has it, we have about 30 to 35,000 decisions that we make every day. That comes down to an average of one decision every 2 seconds. 8 hours of sleep subtracted. The numbers are a little bit imaginary, but how would your brain possibly do that? That cannot be serious. Like 35,000, if you think about it. Who thinks they actually make 35,000 decisions, thinking about them every day? No, people, no. Okay, fair enough. There's another phenomenon. Most of these decisions, this is Daniel Kahneman, so the percentages are pretty close. 95% of our decisions are actually unconscious. We go, decide, we do things, but we do things always in the same way because we're used to certain processes, we have certain patterns. In our case, in this example, that would be 33,000 of 35,000 decisions. And there's this nice, very decorative red bar at the top. It's kind of small-ish. So this is the actual 5% of decisions you make consciously every day. A little bit below 2,000. This amounts, if you did the math on it, this amounts to around 17 minutes of conscious decision making, assuming they were all equally distributed. So this is where the actual fun starts. This is where you can actually think about things. And this is also the area where you set the directions and the intentions for all the other things, and where you also start consciously directing your interactions with your surroundings. This is where doing new things actually happens. Enter instant innovation cards. 1 year ago, lucky enough, we released this together with a very nice Dutch publishing house. So this is nicely available on the market. And this is exactly what we use to use design thinking and creative problem solving and thinking on your feet together. The formula that I'll be using is pretty simple. You can have it in your brain really easily. I'm always trying to make stuff that is comparably easy to remember. So the pattern is challenge, reflection, action. Whenever something hits you in the everyday work, when situations don't go as planned, you can reflect on those and take action from there. Unboxing. Who wants to unbox instant innovation cards? It's a workshop, right? So maybe some tables have to go together. I think 5 people per table is a really nice number. So if you want to, you can unbox. We're also unboxing on the screen already. Maybe you guys, or can you guys come to the front? Then there's more on my camera and I don't have to talk so loudly. And then we have another table here, right? Good. Good, good, good. 3 tables today. Yeah, that's easy. Sounds cool. Yeah, please also like open it up if you like already. We are going to look at that. So while you're unpacking, you'll notice there are 36 cards in the deck, and each card illustrated and with a little bit of introduction on the front represents another principle that you can that you can use to work, to reflect. I'm quoting Ray Dalio, founder of Blackwater Associates, one of the biggest, if not the biggest hedge fund currently, pretty smart guy. Principles are fundamental truths that serve as the foundation for behavior that gets you what you want out of life. Principles can be applied again and again in similar situations to help you achieve your goals. So every principle comes on a card, usually one. Don't necessarily need to understand a full effect of it, but you can already see in the illustration, okay, I could think about how stuff goes together here, called value chain, and gives you a little bit of introduction. And it gives you some extra reflection questions to see what it means for you, to see what it means for us, or to see what it means for them. So if you're working for others, might be your users, might be some stakeholders that you're satisfying, or might also be some other people that you want to look at outside, maybe even a team member if you want to look at their singular idea. So this is built to actually help you think about it a little bit. There's a slight confusion. 36 of these principles at your disposal. We've seen that before. And the nice thing is they are all connected. If you now, I know where I did the slide. If you look down here, they all have connections. So they are connected, how they go together. For instance, the principle of technology and how it increases our abilities is connected to the principle of leverage, to the principle of value chain that we've just seen, to co-evolution, to different disciplines and specific knowledge, to the emergence that we can build from new technologies, how we focus our energy and how our interactions happen. This is basically open for association, and it goes in a lot of other directions. So you can find your way around to think about your situation in the sense of, I need to wrap my head around it. You can only say this in the English language. It doesn't work in German. Do you know the feeling? Who can relate to wrapping your head around the problem, like very literally? Like every once in a while, I have to, I'm really like, okay, everything. So this is also where these principles come from. So wrap my head around what? Around these situations when you have a challenge and you're not quite sure where to go. So you have a gap between challenge and action. You need reflection. You need design thinking on your feet. You can use the ideas that you already have. Oops, one too wide. The ideas that you already have. And maybe you can become aware of different perspectives and other ideas, and maybe one of them actually helps you to solve your problem. So you become more aware of the situation that you're in, and you have some orientation as to how to go forward. So challenge, reflection, action. Somewhere in the reflection phase, I can only invite you to use the instant innovation cards. And hopefully this action actually becomes creative action, so some type of action. And yes, I have a principle for pretty much everything. You see where I'm going with this, I hope. So hopefully creative action, so action that makes things better and better over time. Simply pick a card and find new insights in seconds. That's the promise. I just like him too much, I think. So, how ready are you? Workshop time. At first, I want you to find a challenge. What would that be? A challenge or a situation that urges you to respond creatively. Now, maybe something that you already have in your mind, like, yeah, that is not working particularly well. Somehow I have a lot of friction and I would like to make this better. This could be relating, just to get your head spinning a little bit, related to processes, generally to communication, maybe to confusion when situations are really unclear. Might be that you have new tasks, that something created an unexpected result, that you have to think about next steps, that you have maybe even an inspiration, or that you see opportunity to make something better. Cool. So 3 minutes to choose a challenge. Which situation urges you to respond creatively? You can think about it. You can write it down on a post-it if you like. That would be ideal. Huh? Any challenge that comes to mind, pretty much. Yes? A challenge for us individually or we as a team? No, for each person on their own. Good question, a very good question. No, for each person on their own, you can find your own challenge, and then we will share and work with this later a little bit. Huh? So, first point taken, we have a challenge. Second point, reflection. How does that work? We look at our challenge from different perspectives. And we're looking for ideas that inspire us to something new, hopefully creative. You can now take 10 minutes and find, without needing to be right, inside the cards, just something that talks to you. It can be the headline, it can be the illustration on the top, it can be something that you're picking up on the way. So just explore and see which cards are inspiring you and how it can help you. For your personal challenge, exactly. Huh? However many you like, I would start with one. But if you find more, that's perfectly fine. Everything about 36 is really complicated. Yeah, and you can really do it by intuition, right? Like if you pick something out, just stick with it a little bit and see where it takes you. Yes. This is a definition or an inspiration that can help you. The question is never, is it right? The question is, does it help you right now? Does it inspire you in some way? There is no wrong or right. Yeah, it's mostly used to open your mind and see if there's other thoughts and perspective around you. I'm trying to get exactly away from, oh, I need to know everything. Who's still going? People are pretty quick, I think. Huh? However inspired you want to be. Yeah, one is good. More also good. But maybe we just commence. Yeah. And the next step, of course, challenge, reflection, action. So what should your action work towards? This is also my go-to definition of innovation, pretty much. Things should work better, life should go more smoothly, and people should be able to create the outcomes that they care about, including you. So, what creative action can you take or could you take tomorrow on your challenge? Sharing. Share your challenge, share the cards that inspired you, and the actions that you're going to take with the people on your table. Around 2 minutes per person-ish. So, welcome back. Was that good? At least there's some energy in the room. So we do have a little more time because we're not so many people. Yeah, fantastic problems. This guy again. Spotlights. We cannot necessarily hear from everyone, but maybe we can even do 2 people quickly per table. If you would share with us your challenge, reflection, action. Who on this table here has, and the whole table votes by pointing their fingers, who has the best thing to share? No. Cool. Thank you. Thank you all. Give yourselves a round of applause. Quick and honest show of hands, who thought this was kind of useful? Was it fun? Hands up? Yeah, okay, very cool. So, couple of use cases. How could you use that at home? You could use it in your solo practice, right? You could do this anytime you run into a challenge. You could also do this in team meetings. If you have specific challenges and you want to get together, like, oh, we have different perspectives, you can kind of use it as brainstorming. Once you have a challenge, you can put the ideas together on a table. And you also create, in the discussions, you create some shared vocabulary, because you can suddenly be like, oh yeah, I think this value chain thing is really important. Oh, how is it important? And you can always refer back to the same point, which you can all see. I think it can play, if you play it right, this practice with or without the cards can play a big role in your leadership and also in your personal agency. Personal agency is really important for me. You don't need a leadership position to lead. You influence your surroundings at all times. And if you do that consciously, you lead, no matter what your job title is. You kind of seen that I'm not a big fan of job titles necessarily. And for everybody, because the season is already coming up and it's down in the supermarket, they make fantastic Christmas gifts. just to kind of let you know. Speaking of, here is the last slide for the evening. I need you all to scan this barcode now. There's also like more stuff behind. There's a whole like bibliography. So it's about just the important books, are around 70 books that went into like selecting the principles. So you can also, if you need some reading material, there's also like a nice spreadsheet with all the stuff and all the books that went into that. There are some really interesting ones. And apart from that, I say thank you. Thanks for being around. Thanks for taking part.